Let's make some 4th of July celebration earrings. Well, hello there, gorgeous. I hope you're having a fabulous day. I meant to get this video out on the 4th of July. Obviously, that didn't happen. I had an event that I had to do that day, and life happens. So here we are, a little late, but finally getting around to doing the voiceover. Alright, so starting out with a color block pattern. And actually, I got the idea for this pattern. My mom, I don't know, a month or so ago, was like, "You gonna make 4th of July earrings?" And she sent me some pictures of a few that she had found that she liked. And one of them, I'm sure we've all seen that. You've all seen those, is the leather earrings, or the faux leather, that are, they've got the 3 different tiers on them. And I could have made mine in 3 different pieces, but I thought, well, why not make it one piece, just for something different. So that's what I'm doing here, and it's just basically just cut and replace with a different color. Now I'm using patty paper here, just but it's unwaxed. It's parchment paper, basically. It's just pre-cut in these little squares. And because I'm having to burnish this so hard, you'll see in a minute, it sticks to this pretty bad. And I've got some waxed ones somewhere, but I absolutely could not find those. So yeah, I just had to use my wax paper from the kitchen, but whatever works, right? And you see I've got 3 of the red there, and then I cut out the 1 small blue, and that was because I was going to do 1 pair that were the same and 1 pair that was opposite. Because like I said, I had my mom in mind when I made these, and she didn't even choose this pair. She chose something else. But anyway, I knew that she wouldn't like them being 2 different earrings, so that's why I made one that was the same. See, I had a hard time getting that off of there, so I switched to wax paper. But like I said, I couldn't find the pre-cut one, so it's just kind of messy. But I'm just really burnishing this in so that it becomes just 1 piece of clay. And that's why I flip it over and do 1 side and then the other. These cutters right here, let me tell you, do not like these cutters. They are not good, sharp cutters. And you can probably see sometimes, and it's always in one spot with these cutters that it doesn't cut clean. It's so aggravating. That's why I love my cutters from Creative Dork. Irene makes my absolute favorite cutters. They are so nice and sharp. They cut clean every single time. And they're just she has very fair prices. And I've said it before, one of my favorite things, other than the fact that her cutters are excellent quality and they're like super sharp, the other thing I love is that she has sizes listed, usually from 1/2 inch. It depends on the shape. Sometimes they start at 1/4 inch. 3/4 of an inch, I'm sorry. And usually in 1/4 inch increments up to 3 inches. And I love that, because then she offers the larger sizes, because we all know I like to make big honking earrings, and she offers the larger sizes, and I don't have to special order them. There are quite a few people that make good quality short cutters, but the size range is what puts her in the top for me, other than the quality. Now here I've got a smudge of one of the other colors on the white. White is very hard to work with. And if you're talking about working with red and white, that's red and black usually have the most color transfer. And then white, of course, everything shows up on it. So if you're working with black and white or red and white, you're just asking for trouble there. And then I'm just wadding up, that's like printer paper, and using that for my texture. It gives a very nice faux leather texture. Can also use tissue paper. What I should have done is put that on my baking tile first and then did the texture, but I didn't think about it. I almost always cut on the tile that I'm going to bake on because I don't like to handle my pieces after I cut them. I much prefer just to leave them alone after I do the final shape, and then I don't distort the shape. Some people will cut their shape and then take it off of whatever they're working on and clean up the edges and things like that, and then put it on their baking tile or baking sheet. And I don't like to do it that way. If you're using good sharp cutters, the cleanup is usually minimal anyway. Not with these, but with most cutters, you know, good cutters, the cleanup afterwards will be minimal anyway. So I just don't worry about cleaning up my edges before. I'd much rather make sure that I don't distort my shape. See, that didn't even cut all the way through the first time. I had to go back and cut it again and then use my X-Acto knife. And I forgot to cut out the post part, the toppers, while I had the clay there. So yeah, I had to go back and retexture, roll out again, and then retexture some clay so I could cut out the tops. And I wasn't sure if I wanted the pear shape or if I wanted round ones and what color I wanted, and so I just did several. Alright, now that you've seen me do the first pair, I'm speeding it up a little bit, and we're just going to do the same thing again. This time I remember to put it on the tile before I textured it. And I was going to do a different, or started out trying to do a different texture, but then decided I didn't like it, so went back with the faux leather texture. Now, on to design number 2, which I like this design better than the color block. This one was my favorite. Here I'm using multi-cutters from Creative Dork, of course. These are great when you need to cut out a lot of one shape. The only ones that I have right now are these flowers, but she has them in lots of different shapes. And then she also has one that is made for your extruder that cuts out circles that are the sides of your extruder. Some of these little flowers, I cut the centers out of them, and some I did not. And I started out with this slab fairly small because I knew I wanted to stretch it out and distort it. So I didn't want to start out with a, huge slab and then wind up with way too much. And some of these flowers, I'm kind of stretching and distorting the flowers as I put them on, just to give it more interest. I know this is a 4th of July video and this is, red, white, and blue, but this right here would be so cute in so many different color patterns. And it really was a fairly easy slab to do, especially with that multi-cutter. And then I was going to do red and blue centers, but I really decided that I liked the white the best, so filled those in. Although some still had the red and blue in the center, which was cute. Now, if I just rolled this through the pasta machine as is, it would have been stretched only in one direction, which was not what I wanted. I wanted it distorted in different directions and kind of wavy, and so I'm stretching it by hand, and then I have to put it back down on the surface and flatten it back out because, of course, as you pull it, it's going to get kind of wrinkled up. So just stretch it, lay it back down, flatten it back out. I ran it through my pasta machine a couple of times. I don't know what I'm doing here. Who knows? And then that was the final time. And then a little bit of spongy texture there. And let's cut them out and go. If you're ever watching my videos and you see me pick the tile up like that, especially when I'm cutting, it's so I can see where I'm cutting. Especially if I'm cutting out the center of something, I need to hold it up to make sure I've got it centered. I'm already thinking of different color patterns that I want to do this in. Now it is time to clean up my edges. Normally I clean my edges up at this point and then I do my back. And if I get them good and clean here, I usually don't have to sand after I get the backing on. Now, like I said, the pear shape or teardrop shape, because of those cutters, as you can see, I'm having to do quite a bit of sanding on those. But the other ones, which were all cut with the sharper cutters, with those I generally just have to scrape them with my knife. That could also be removed with by sanding or nail file. But I prefer to just scrape it with my knife. It comes off so easily. It's such a thin little piece of clay there that usually just scraping it with the knife comes off. And most of the time I don't even use the sharp side of the knife. I usually use the back side. Of course, there's always a spot here and there that needs to be sanded a little, and sometimes I do have to still sand after I get the backing on. But if I get it, the edges really nice here, then, and I'm careful when I put the back on and make sure I've got it nice and smooth once I get it on, I usually don't have to go back and sand afterwards. Scrub-a-dub-dub earrings in the tub. Got to get them all nice and clean. Add the post. And then do the backs. I like to use Bacon Bond to do this. Some people say it is necessary to use something to bond your cured clay to your raw clay. Some people say it's not necessary. But you know, it's one of those things that me personally, I would rather use it and not need it than need it and not use it. This little orange tool here is called a stud helper. It makes it easier to press the clay on the backside up around because it's hard to get up around the post with your fingers. I mean, your fingers just aren't small enough to get really, really close to the post. So that's what that tool is for. Also, from the Creative Dork, I believe she may have invented that tool. I'm not sure. I need to ask her. If any of you clayers know if someone else makes those or not, let me know. I thought she invented it, but she may not have. I'm not sure about that. I do know it does make it a lot easier. The backing on these is really, really thin. It's a very thin sheet of clay because the front was kind of a little bit thicker. I really don't like doing the backs that thin because of that reason right there, the air bubbles. It seems like to me the thinner the clay is when you're adding it on, the easier it is to get air bubbles in it. And they really show up on that thinner clay. Like if you get an air bubble trapped between those layers, it's really going to show up. And it seems like no matter how careful you are putting it on, no matter how many times you look over it and pop the bubbles, you're still going to get air bubbles in there every time. Or at least I do. Alright, I filmed this in time lapse, so it really is a little faster than I would like for it to be. I wish I could figure out a way to adjust how fast the time lapse on my camera goes. And I mean, I know I could have left it at just the one pair because it's just the same steps over and over, but sometimes I like for you to see just how many of these pieces that I have to do the same thing over and over. And it, you know, when you're talking about this many, and this wasn't even a really big collection, but still, when you're talking about doing this many at once, it takes a while. Now we just drill some holes. I've got them all paired up and figured out how I want to put them together. That jump ring didn't fit. It wasn't big enough. I always try to use the smallest jump ring that I can. And some people just are really, oh, they just want to use a small jump ring, use a small jump ring. To me, it doesn't matter the size of the jump ring. Just as long as it looks appropriate and as long as the jewelry moves freely. I don't like a tight fit with my jump rings. I like for them to be able to move nicely, but yet you don't want them so big that they look out of place either. So I start out trying to use the smallest one I can, which for me and my earrings is usually, if it's going on ear wire, I might can get away with 6mm, but I use a 10mm the most. Getting out some beads to do my little hoops with. Sometimes I just put them on the hoop and see if I like them, and sometimes I lay out 2 or 3 different patterns like this and decide which one I want. But most of the time, as is the case with this, even though I like it, the pattern laid out and I think that's what I want to use, I get it on the earring and decide, nope. So most of the time I just work on the hoop. And this time I got the front and the back side done before I decided it wasn't what I wanted. Every single one on there. And it's like, no. Try again. I don't know why, but I think it took me like 3 different. Yeah, I said I didn't like that one. I took that one off. I think I finally found one I liked. And of course, those little bitty beads, you got to chase them down everywhere. And if I drop something on the floor, you better bet I better find it, because if I don't, my little Trixie will. That girl gets into everything. And if you don't know, Trixie is my little puppy. She is almost 9 months old. She's a little Yorkshire Terrier mix. And just FYI, if you ever see me tapping my fingers like that, I'm thinking. Trying to decide what I want to do. I think with my fingers. I made a couple of these hoops with some really small pieces that I would normally make studs with, but I thought, well, try something different, and decided to put them on hoops, and they turned out really cute. Okie dokie, folks, here is the finished product. I hope you can hear me okay. Look, I live in an apartment building. I'm outside, so you can hear, you know, other people's air conditioners running and such. Alright, give you a quick overlook, and then I will show you some of them a bit closer up. Okay, this pair here, the reason these are not on a card is because I'm pretty sure that I'm going to keep these, although I am really liking some of those hoops, and I may keep a pair of the hoops. I'm not quite decided yet, but I do have an event tomorrow that I'm going to be a vendor at, and you know, I want to look cute, but I want something that's going to be comfortable enough to wear all day, because it's going to be a long day. Alright, here is this pair of hoops. There's what the beads on it look like. I hope y'all can see this okay. I'm in the shade. I'm outside, but I'm in the shade. I tried filming this out in the sun, and it was just way too bright. But it's kind of dark over here in the shade. I think these are so cute. Just the flowers dangling on the hoops there. Oh, and these, normally I would use this cutter for little studs, but I thought that was really cute. Just drill the little hole in the center, hang them on there. You know, because not everybody likes stuff quite as elaborate as I do. There's the bead pattern on those. The oval shape. The little round ones. There's the beads. And the stars, they're just plain. And then for the stud, I have more studs than these, but I've just got these out. They're all, the rest of them are these same shapes. The little flowers, I've got the little circles, and the big circles. This is a new shape for me. I just recently got these cutters, but I absolutely love these. I think they are so cute. I mean, you know, something different. You could also hang them that way if you wanted. But for this, I just decided to go that direction. Then here is the color block with the opposite colors. These are all the same colors. They're just, you know, reversed. And then here's the other pair like those that have the same color. Or not. Yeah, they're the same. The earrings are the same, is what I'm trying to say. These, I do believe that all of the, yeah, the reds and the blues are different on these. The earrings themselves are reversed, but the colors are also different. Another pair of the color block. These have the glitter, which is really pretty. Oh, and one thing that I didn't show on camera is that I did wax and buff these a little bit to bring out that faux leather pattern, or texture rather. And I think I might have also waxed these just to make the colors just a little bit richer, but I did not buff these like I did the others. There's those, and all of these earrings are fully finished on the back with my signature stamp. On these, I did, no, on the color block, I did use the same color on the back that's on the outside edge here. But on these, on all the ones with the flowers, I just used random colors. Just whichever color I happen to cut the shape out of is what color they wound up being. I did try to do like one red and one blue for each one, but you know, other than that, I didn't pay attention to the colors for those. And if I did, I don't think I showed it in the video, but normally this is my signature, the little flower with my initials in it. But sometimes on something like this, I don't have room for that. So this little pink flower with tiny little rhinestone in it, that is my signature on smaller pieces. It's there too. So yeah, that's what I use for my signature. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. Okay, thanks. Bye.